Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here. I am bloomin' chuffed right now, and even just a little bit smug, because yes, I have played Animal Crossing New Horizons. Nintendo UK invited me down to their headquarters in the UK, which is good because they're Nintendo UK, and I had a right ruddy good go at the game. I suppose maybe I played about, give or take, probably the best part of an hour overall, and I still feel like there's so much I need to play, but I can't. So I'm basically just going to take you through my thoughts on the game, you know, what I played, what I didn't, I suppose, if I can. If I can, you know, what I know at least. I'll stop blathering, Alex. Oh, and I've also got some direct capture, and that's me playing, and you'll know because I'm acting like a tit. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. So, wowzers trousers, where to even bloody begin? Well, I just sort of generally, I'm just going to talk about the way the game looks first, because God, I've seen it in directs, I've seen it in trailers, doesn't do it justice. The fine detail on things like, on things like the fur on the characters' faces and things like that, it's just out of this world. It is a ludicrous amount of detail, and I kind of, after a while, got used to it, and I thought, well, it is really nice. But I thought to myself, is it that much better than New Leaf? And so I went back to New Leaf very briefly. Well, more to the point, my other half was hankering for a bit of Animal Crossing herself, so she fired it up, and I looked over and I went, oh my God, as I was comparing it to the footage that I captured that day. It is a night and day difference. It really is. The leap. I know, obviously, the Switch is a way more powerful system, but it really doesn't do it justice. The trailers and everything don't compare to actually seeing it in person, running beautifully. I'm pretty certain, now don't quote me on this because obviously I've only done a bit of capture and stuff like that, and it's not a completely it's not an exact science, but I'm fairly certain we are looking at 1080p right here. Oh my good gracious goggly goodness. So that's how pretty the game is out of the way. I'll probably come back to it a little bit because it's a pretty boy. So basically I played 3 different save files. I played one where it was relatively early in the game, one where it was a little bit later on, and one all the way naffing off into the future where, yes, Terraforming, I actually had a go with that, and when I did the earliest save file, it was fairly clear that there was not a lot of development and everything, and it felt quite desolate, and there were weeds everywhere, and you know, all the stuff that you'd expect and stuff that we've seen before, but it really there was a very different feel to it. It was almost like you were, despite the fact Tom Nook is obviously organizing everything, it felt very much like you were taking charge of the entire island. More so than the mayoral aspect in New Leaf, because you go to an existing town and you improve it, and the other citizens are there and they're like, hey, we like you, but this time around it's almost like you're right from scratch. The very beginning, every single thing beyond the landscape at first, is there and is your decision to mold, and it actually had quite a different feel to it compared to New Leaf, and I can't really put my finger on why, but they really have managed to absolutely nail the whole sort of deserted island experience. You feel sort of desolate and isolated, but at the same time with a great amount of freedom, and it feels even more relaxing than other Animal Crossing games, which is absolutely baffling. And I don't know whether other people who've done previews will be talking about this, because, you know, people have done packs and things like that. But obviously I could sit there and I was comfortable in a nice, you know, sort of plush room with people telling me what to do, but without a lot of noise in the background. And it really was really bloody relaxing. It really was. There's a couple of interesting points that no doubt people will be able to pick apart from the footage, so please feel free to pick apart and scurry through the little bits of footage. Maybe I'll even put some little notes up because I'm running on a bit of a schedule, so I haven't gone through with a fine-tooth comb of my own footage, which is embarrassing. Interesting to know with like the crafting, I did manage to create a vaulting pole and everything, and so I managed to go across the rivers. That's genuinely really good fun. In fact, just generally the movement in the whole game, and the villagers and the other animals actually doing stuff, you know, they're just kind of, they feel more alive rather than just standing there going, hello, I am waiting for you to interact with me. They're actually doing things beyond just like the fishing and stuff. Tom Nook, I went into resident services in one of the save files, and he was just there with like like a cup or like a drink or something, or a book. I genuinely can't remember. And it just kind of felt much more like you were walking in and not so much interrupting, but that they were doing things before you went in rather than just sitting there feverishly waiting for you to come in. And it just, everything feels more alive, and the movement when you run and everything. I cannot organize all these thoughts I have about the game. That's just mushy all over the place. The way that you run, it has a real weight to it, as I'm going to be showing you with a bit of footage now, rather than just the kind of the floaty movement of before in like New Leaf and stuff like that, which was absolutely fine, no issues, but there's a proper sort of snap to the running. And it just, all the movement just feels like it's got real weight and character. Oh, but let's move on. Let's move on to me talking about the second save file, because this was further on. I stupidly cannot remember if it was a different season or not, because I don't know. I think I just had in my head that it was spring and that it was time locked and everything, and I don't know whether it was brought forward, but whatever, either way. And it's a lot more developed, to say the least. Yes, there's things like you got the little ladder to go up onto the different levels and everything, which obviously I couldn't do in the first save file because I didn't have the ladder. So it was almost like the sort of the first layer, the sort of the cliff, if you like, was almost locked off from me, which was a really interesting idea. So it looks like there was stuff up there that obviously I couldn't reach. There were no natural ramps or anything like that. So you are essentially kind of like organically locked off from different areas until you progress throughout the game, which I think is pretty cool. But there was also stuff like I was able to go into the Able Sisters shop, and the museum was there. Oh, the museum. There is so much more to the museum than we've seen so far. Like, the museum is colossal, absolutely bloody colossal. It's sprawling in and around. There's so many sort of different twists and turns. I won't be able to show you everything because I'm limited on what I can show. But it's just twisting in and around, and it's just absolutely beautiful, like absolutely drop dead gorgeous. It does seem to interestingly like intersect in, well, it doesn't intersect, but like in the bug area, there was like an area with water, and there were fish in there. And so it's almost like there's kind of a bit of crossover, but I don't know whether they're just there maybe because there's going to be water boatmen and stuff like that, I think. Is it water boatmen? The things that go on the water. But there were fish, and then there was the fish section that was separate, and even, you know, the lighting and everything is drastically different between the two. And even in different areas, like, oh my god, there was this wonderful bit. There was this wonderful bit in the museum where they had like, almost, it was like a cross-section of an ant, almost like an ant farm or something, but then it gets even better. There was like a little break room just to the side of it. And then you go into the break room and you can see this little line of ants as they're trying to take the sugar cube away from the tea that someone has left. And it's... oh! The whole thing is absolutely disgustingly charming. Like, actually, not even to the point where you sort of think it's twee or a little bit too much, but it's just like, it's just subtle and warm. It's a big, warm, cozy blanket that you can wrap yourself up in and just lose yourself. I was also surprised. I had a brief look at like the DIY and, you know, sort of building and everything, and it seems like there's actually a lot of stuff requires a surprising number of materials, because obviously, you know, you hit a tree with an axe and you get some gubbins out of it, you get some wood, and you hit a rock and you can get some iron and you can get bits and bobs like that, which is, you know, fun, and, you know, it's kind of resource management and stuff like that. But it looks like the amount of bloody trees on the island is going to take you a long time to just even harvest a day's worth, because I must admit, I don't know, because I've only played one day, but it looks like, you know, I'm assuming they're going to replenish each day. Maybe. I could be entirely wrong about that now that I think about it. But let's just assume they do, because at the, you know, you don't want to be without, you know, without resources to gather. So I imagine you can get 3 wood, you know, of varying kinds, because there's like 3 different kinds. There's like, I can't remember what they are. So I would imagine, you know, you're going to want to be able to get a sort of a regular sort of source of those things. So I imagine, yeah, it's going to replenish daily, which means you are going to have a hell of a lot more you can do each time you load up Animal Crossing. Because one of the issues that I had with New Leaf, and it didn't happen every day by any stretch of the imagination, but I would load the game up and I would play it and I would do, you know, go around, talk to the villagers, harvest all the fruit, get all the seashells if I could be bothered because they're generally worthless. I'd dig up all the fossils and all that good stuff, and then by the time I'd done that, that's, you know, what, about an hour or so? But, you know, just looking at the vast quantity of trees, you know, thinking that you've got to get another 3, you know, resources out of each single tree, not just the fruit trees. Every single tree will give you 3 additional resources, presumably daily. And it's not like you just hit it once and gather, you gotta go 1, 2, 3. And if axes break, which I don't know whether they do, but they used to break in previous games, if they break, you're gonna be going through a lot of bloomin' axes for sure. It's just even more to do in the game, even more stuff to do, which, I mean, I suppose you could just order all the furniture you want, or you could craft it, you know? I'm guessing the stuff that you can craft, again, I haven't played that much, so I'm making some tiny little assumptions, Alex. Maybe you shouldn't. All the stuff you can craft, I'm guessing you can also buy some way down, you know, down the line, I don't know. But I'd be surprised if you couldn't, because there are some people who aren't necessarily going to want to, and are just going to want to order it, and then Nook sent it to them. Wabow. So I suppose long term, I mean, you're probably going to have to do some crafting throughout the, you know, the game just to get to certain levels. But, you know, I imagine there may well reach a point where if you don't like the crafting system, you can kind of just ignore it. There may well be certain things that are locked behind crafting. You have to craft them. But at the moment, I don't know. I assume you can buy tools and stuff. I think didn't I look at what's for sale? I can't even remember anymore. But that's enough chatter about that. Let's talk about the terraforming, because yes, I got a very brief go with that. I can't show you for some reason. I can talk to you about terraforming, but I can't actually show you. I wasn't able to capture. I will just double check I'm allowed to talk about it. Get that out of shot. Yes. So I am allowed to talk about terraforming, which was basically, you know, the whole Save File 3 was just so we could have a go with the terraforming. And you know what? Oh God, it's almost this bizarre sort of feeling that everything I kind of knew about Animal Crossing kind of came tumbling down, because pretty much anything, you know, you can build cliffs, and I found, you know, sort of you can get one level up, one cliff, and then you can get another level up. And then you can get another level up, but I couldn't climb up there. I couldn't climb up to the very top. So I don't know whether you can actually put anything there, but you can have some fairly tall cliffs. It is basically like going into a different mode, you know, you're not, I don't know whether you're still able to interact with villagers and stuff like that. Maybe I should have tried that, but I didn't. But either way, you know, you kind of get your own tools again, and you can still equip other tools, you know, say like if you want to move trees and stuff like that. You can still get your shovel out and all that good stuff. You can still access everything, but you get a little hard hat on and everything, and you go around and you're like spreading stuff on the floor, and you can make, I even made a little circle of ground tiles, which was very pleasing. And you can do the same with custom designs as well, which is really handy, because I'm assuming if you put it down, you know, sort of you put it down using the whole sort of trowelly technique, actually spreading it down, people can't just kick it away, and you yourself can't accidentally kick it away. I don't know whether you can put it down any other way, whether you can just display it on the floor like you could do before, but we know that we can do it there, so it's honestly really, really, really exciting, because obviously I only got a very short amount of time realistically having a go with the terraforming, so I was kind of, you know, sort of playing around and doing as much as I could, but the scope seems absolutely colossal, and to be honest, that's kind of the theme of all that I played. You know, everything I was playing was kind of just like, it was almost just like peeking behind a curtain and seeing just a little bit and being like, wow, that's shiny, but you know the shininess continues. Honestly, I don't know what else to expect. I'm absolutely gagging to play even more of it, like, oh my God, I just want to play even more. I don't want to say anything that might, you know, sort of, that I might regret later on, but so far, this is shaping up to be just out and away. It seems to be usurping every single other Animal Crossing game before it, which, admittedly, New Leaf usurped, you know, City Folk, and City Folk kind of usurped Wild World. Less so there, but Wild World definitely usurped the original. It just seems to be like it's bigger and better than every previous Animal Crossing, which is what you want, but you don't always expect. And my God, is it pretty. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you tease yourself with just a teeny part of that subscribe button, and be sure to check out nintendolive.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. I need to somehow play more Animal Crossing.